A simple change in focus can rewrite an entire landscape. One moment you're watching dust drift in the light, the next a mountain range is all you can see. Fear works exactly like that lens. It pulls a single threat so close to your eyes that it begins to dictate your reactions and your daily decisions. It stops being a problem you have and becomes the world you live in. These giants often take the form of a difficult season that refuses to end, a financial burden that feels impossible to carry, a prayer for a loved one that has gone unanswered for years. In the quiet, isolating moments, like sitting alone late at night, these weights press the hardest. That is when the silence starts to fill with the loud whispers of every worst-case scenario. This is the danger of magnification. Whatever you keep in the center of your mind's eye will eventually become the power that controls your life. When we fixate on a problem, we are essentially placing it under a magnifying glass. It hasn't actually grown, but it now fills our entire field of vision. The obstacle only feels unbeatable because the frame of our reality has become too small. We have lost the broader context of God's presence. When the struggle is the only thing we allow ourselves to see, we eventually lose the strength to continue. Our focus becomes our trap. This struggle for perspective is an ancient one. In the book of Numbers, 12 leaders stood at the edge of the Promised Land, tasked with scouting the territory of Canaan. All 12 men stood in the same dirt and looked at the same high walls. They all stared at the same giants, the descendants of the Nephilim. 10 of the spies returned with a report of pure fear. They magnified the enemy until they saw themselves as small and defenseless as grasshoppers. But Caleb and Joshua saw something else. They acknowledged the same giants, but their report was filled with confidence because they knew God was with them. The decisive difference had nothing to do with their physical eyes. It was about what their hearts chose to believe was more real, the giants or the God who promised them the land. This is spiritual amnesia. Fear thrives when memory of God's faithfulness fails. The spies forgot the Red Sea, and the weight of their circumstances crushed their courage. Caleb and Joshua intentionally remembered his promise, keeping the giants as obstacles already overcome by God's power. Joshua and Caleb didn't pretend the walls were thin or the giants were short. They simply refused to let those facts outshine the promise God had already spoken. Every battle is decided in the mind long before it begins on the field. The winner is determined by who you choose to magnify. Joshua's Hebrew name is Yehoshua, meaning the Lord is salvation. Centuries later, that same name was given to Jesus. Joshua was just a shadow of the one who would lead us into a much deeper rest. Jesus walked into his own wilderness to face giants that no army could touch: sin, death, and the power of darkness. On the cross, it appeared the giants had finally claimed victory. The light failed, the followers scattered, and the Savior was buried. But when that stone cracked open 3 days later, it proved that the greatest enemies had been dismantled forever. Because of the resurrection, believers no longer fight to achieve a victory. We fight from the ground of a victory that Christ has already secured. What giant is standing in your path today? What is the one thing that has been capturing all of your attention? Stop measuring your God by your circumstances. Measure your circumstances against the God who made the stars and walked out of the grave. Lord, forgive us for letting fear become our master. Give us the grace to remember your faithfulness, even when the future feels unclear. Keep your focus on Jesus Christ and his finished work. The obstacles of this world are temporary, but his victory is final. Because the size of your God will always determine the size of your fear.